Hello everyone, welcome back to the TJOmega channel, and today's video is not the one I was planning to do today because some things are just way more important and I want to focus on them at the moment. So, we're staring at a picture of Garry Chalk. Now, this is not a memorial, don't freak out, don't worry, don't do anything like that. There are things going on we'll talk about briefly, but this is just going to be a day where we kind of look back on the man's career and just kind of talk about all the roles that I remember him from. We're doing this because we got an update about Garry on his fan page over on Facebook. The admin shared this with us, which is a report that, unfortunately, Garry is currently battling stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma. So it is a scary thing because it is a form of cancer. It is very treatable. He absolutely can survive it. It's a very scary time for Garry, his family, and obviously his fans as well. A lot of us grew up with his roles. A lot of us know him from, the things that we talk about on this channel all the time. For a lot of people, he is their Optimus Prime. He's their Peter Cullen. So, the family right now, they're not asking for money. There's no GoFundMe or anything for any kind of medical treatment. The only thing the admin of the page is asking for is moral support, just to kind of show your love for Garry, share stories of when you have met him at conventions, etc. Roles that you've really enjoyed him in, and all of that. They're basically just looking for positivity right now. So in the name of that, today's video is not monetized. We will be doing the same exact moral support that is being asked for. And if you want to share some of your own, if you've had the chance to meet Garry and have some experiences to share, I will leave a link in the description below to the post over on Facebook. If anyone wants to chip in and share their stories and spread some goodwill, you can do so there. But we're going to obviously start in the obvious place for this channel, which is Beast Wars. For a lot of people, this is one of the best depictions of Optimus. It's a strong leader who's still very kind to his people. Like, he's a stern leader when he needs to be. He's a father figure when he has to be. He has a great balance of what makes an Optimus Prime, like an Optimus Prime. Obviously, because this is the second iteration of Optimus ever, he's obviously going to take a lot from the original Generation 1, version and characterization. But the fact that he maintained this for so long, it's 3 years of Beast Wars and then straight into 2 years of Beast Machines. So that's a long time to be playing one character. It's kind of the beautiful thing about animation, is that you can stay in a role for a long, long time. And frankly, if you think about it, Peter Cullen only did Optimus Prime for 4 years for G1 before only sporadically appearing for commercials, and we didn't hear him again until 2007. So Peter's run as Primal is actually longer, or Garry's run as Primal is actually longer than Peter's run as Prime. And it's even more so than that. So like I said, Garry is depending on the generation you grew up with, Garry is your Peter Cullen. He is the voice of Optimus Prime you identify with, that you know him by. That also includes the Unicron trilogy. So, Garry does Optimus Prime from 1996 all the way through 2000, and then takes a bit of a break for 2001, and then does 4 more years of Optimus Prime, with Cybertron concluding in 2006. With that one little layover where we gave Neil Kaplan a shot at the role, that is a decade of solid Garry Chalk Optimus. That's a long, long time to be voicing a character in this franchise. It makes him the longest running Optimus of them all. If we're going by longevity, if we're going by just like breadth of work, rather than just obviously Peter Cullen's been doing it for 40 years. But to do it continuously, that's a big thing. Because in those 10 years, you have these generations of fans who, that was their show. Beast Wars was their show. Armada was their show. Cybertron was their show. And that means a huge amount. So for the old school fans like me, what Peter Cullen means to us, Garry means to other generations. And I grew up with Beast Wars as well. So yeah, like that's a very important depiction for me. I have that Optimus Prime in my head a lot. The funny thing is, it's not the first time Transformer fans would have heard Garry's voice, however. Um, he was Superion and Silverbolt in this commercial. He's also Leadfoot in one of the other G2 commercials. It makes him one of the very few voice actors that Generation 2 actually had. Kind of crazy to think about that. I mean, it puts him in a very weird spot, puts him in a very weird little frame of reference here. But I think it's funny. I think it's fun. It's a fun little bit of trivia, like who's the voice of Silverbolt in the Generation 2 commercial? It's Garry Chalk, the future voice of Optimus Primal. Now, I'm a cartoon nerd. There is no, there's no obfuscating that. I'm currently sitting in a toy shop with a TV that's running random cartoons from the 80s, 90s, even 2000s that I happen to like. So a lot of things come up on that TV that Garry takes part in. So to share a few of them, because I am a Mega Man guy first, through and through, his role as Gutsman in the Ruby Spears Mega Man comes through in my head a lot. He just makes such a good big brute of a character. Garry is very good at voicing the dim-witted brute villain. I've met Garry. He was a very intelligent man. So to hear him just intentionally being dumb, that does take talent. There does take a talent there, and he makes for a great Gutsman. I feel like Gutsman doesn't get voiced a lot, but every time I've heard his voice, I feel like Garry nailed it. The irony is that he would return to the Mega Man franchise for Fully Charged, not a show I like, but the fact that he went from Gutsman to Dr. Light, the hero's father and creator, that's kind of amusing to me. I like when the actors come back to the roles. Another one I really liked Garry in was The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, who you will remember as the Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon on crack, where everything was psychedelic in art style, very Looney Tunes in logic. Yeah, and he played Grounder, one of the main villains, and again, dim-witted villain. And again, very good at it. It gives lie to his actual intelligence. And just like the previous role, it's one where he ironically returns to it. In Sonic Underground, he took over the voice of Robotnik. Again, not a show I really liked. But Garry is still doing Garry, and Garry is a fantastic voice actor. Even if I don't like a show, I can respect the man's work. Here's a show I actually liked through and through. There's no debate on this one. He was Slash in Reboot. So the fun thing about this is that Hack and Slash are basically the same character. They're always in tandem with each other. He had a voice, Hack was done by someone else previously, and then later seasons, and starting with season 3, I think, Scott McNeil took over. And apparently they were just kids in the booth. A lot of the dialogue between Hack and Slash is apparently improv'd by those two. I mean, chemistry, absolute chemistry, plays off each other so well. But again, it's Ocean Group voice actors. They've been voicing with each other for so long. They should have good chemistry. They should know each other very, very well. And yeah, he plays, again, a good, dumb, brutish character who at least turns heroic eventually. I'm kind of on a run of villain characters here because Garry does have a very good villain voice. That goes all the way back to the 80s with Captain N as the voice of King Hippo. Again, dumb, big, brute character. I don't want to say he got typecast in or anything, but it's starting to feel that way, right? Starting to feel that way. So let me balance this out a little bit. Let's go for a few lead villains. How about a couple lead villains? Extreme Dinosaurs, the most 90s cartoon you could ever imagine. Just the name alone is the most 90s cartoon possibly. He was Bad Rap, the leader of the evil raptors. So, again, now we have a major villain role. He is like he was playing as Robotnik. He's the lead bad guy. Because, again, good voice for that. And while this is close to his brutish voice, like that more like, because he is playing a big dinosaur, right? But it does come across smarter, and it actually has like a little bit more to it than that. Going even farther and having a little bit more pitch to it, we had Lord Viper from King Arthur and the Knights of Justice. Again, lead villain role. Kind of cool looking villain too, not gonna lie. This is one of those weird cartoons that never finished. So like we never really got to see like where they were going with the character or like how he was defeated. He was just the big guy, like he's just a big antagonist for, King Arthur. And that's a pretty impressive thing to say, I think. Like I am King Arthur's nemesis. That's not bad on a resume. For more recent villain roles, you're going to have to go to Ninjago, where he played Kilo, the biker leader. And again, a character that spends most of his time as a villain. I think he joins, like, the good guy resistance toward the end of the series. I'm not the biggest Ninjago guy, so I can't really say. I haven't seen it directly, but I know a ton of Ninjago fans. So, like, I can't not throw him in there. Like, yeah. Yeah, he's done quite a lot. Going back now, I've been so villain heavy. Let's go for some heroes. Let's do some heroic characters. Chop from Double Dragon. This one is important because it's a character with a prosthetic arm and an age where in the 90s, like, they were starting to try and recognize a lot more different people. You didn't just have that token character in there just to like check a box. They actually started trying to put in like a lot more inclusion. So as for kids watching this show, you have two different lessons. One is that someone who is disabled or using a prosthetic, they're still fully capable. They are still human beings. They are not to be looked down upon or mocked in any way. They're just people, and they're, and a lot of them are good people that, that deserve your time and respect, like most people. That said, if the kid happens to be disabled themselves, it's a character that they can relate to. I think it's incredibly important that no matter who you are as a kid, no matter who a kid is, they need to have hero characters that they can see in media and look up to. They need to have those characters that they can see themselves as. They need to be able to see those characters as heroes. That's so important. It is so important. So I'm glad that he got to play a character like that. And, Chop was not a bad character at all either. You might not see yourself in Commander Dogstar from Bucky O'Hare. That one might be a little bit beyond kids, I think. But as a commander character, he does a pretty good job. Yeah. Nothing to really say about that one. Bucky was not the most complex of cartoons. A different one, kind of out there, Dalsim from the Street Fighter cartoon. This is kind of a guilty pleasure cartoon. Let's keep in mind, this is a cartoon that was based on the live action movie, the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, more than it was the video game. Like, they actually reference events from the movie, and that does include the fact that Dalsim was a scientist, in the rather than like the yoga specialist who could stretch his limbs and all that. The cartoon did attempt to rectify and kind of pull him back toward his video game roots. So good on you there. Trying to restore the character. But it's interesting because he is playing a character who's like trying to deny the things he did wrong in the past. So again, there's a little bit of nuance to it. This is Lieutenant Stone from G.I. Joe Extreme. Another lead character, a lead hero for Garry. Always a cool thing. If you recall my TJTV episode, I did not like this cartoon. At all. But I'm not judging the quality of the cartoon. I'm judging the quality of the man behind the role. And the man did a fantastic job. Garry does have this rumble to his voice that does just kind of scream 90s extreme when they put it in this frame. Like, if you just need someone to scream and as an animated character is firing weaponry, this is your choice. Garry was a fantastic choice for that. Something a little bit more traditional, Garry got to play Man-at-Arms in the 2002 He-Man cartoon. And I think this is an incredibly underrated cartoon. I really, really like this one. He got to play Whiplash as well. Like, one thing that I haven't been bringing up a lot in this is so many characters. Like, so many of these shows, Garry did multiple characters. You know, in Mega Man, he also did Bright Man, for instance. He did a few of the Robot Masters. He did Needle Man as well. And for Reboot, he was also Cyrus, like a minor villain there. He was Turbo, one of the other Guardians that shows up later in the series. So again, like, I think that's just a thing with Ocean Group voice actors, is they are incredibly versatile in doing multiple characters in a show and being chameleon enough to get away with it. And this is true here because he plays Man-at-Arms and plays what I think is the best depiction of Man-at-Arms, and also Whiplash as well. So, good guy and a bad guy in this one. But that's not the only time he's touched He-Man. In fact, it wasn't even the first. No, that would be the New Adventures of He-Man, where he got to play the titular hero himself. It's not a He-Man series that a lot look upon fondly, but I do have some good memories of this show. I remember having the sword as a kid. The sword made of gold plastic, so it broke very easily. And as a kid, I had no idea why He-Man's sword was so fragile. But no, like, good on him for getting a big lead character. It's not a small deal to take over the role of He-Man after like a very long running and successful cartoon in the 80s. He plays Santa Claus, the ultimate good guy. He plays Santa Claus in the CGI version of the Island of Misfit Toys. Which again, we've talked about. I've kind of dabbled in the past because Scott McNeil plays a few characters. He also plays the Bumble as well. So again, multiple characters. Garry is incredibly talented. So I could go on. This is just animated appearances that I personally know. There are so many others. There are so many others he has done over the years. This doesn't even get into his films. We'll look down at the films real quick. The Fly 2, Warriors of Virtue, Freddy vs. Jason. I'm just doing names that just pop out at me in some way. Scooby-Doo and the Mystery Begins. Watchmen. He was in Watchmen. A Christmas Story 2, Godzilla. A lot of us noticed Garry in Godzilla. Leprechaun Origins, Tomorrowland, the Power Rangers movie. He was in that, like the modern one. The modern one he was in. The Predator, the 2018 version. He was in Sonic the Hedgehog, like the first Sonic movie in 2020. Great. In TV shows, you got MacGyver, Highlander, what else? The Outer Limits, Ninja Turtles Next Mutation, another show I've talked about in the past. Dark Angel, Stargate SG-1, he was in for 10 episodes. Let's see, what else? The Dead Zone, Eureka, where he was in the pilot episode. Fargo, Travelers, Arrow, a few episodes of Arrow. And then Riverdale. Riverdale did 5 episodes in Riverdale. That was just last year. The man is still active, which is great to see. In doing my research for this video, I did come across one more, and it's actually related to the image you are seeing on screen right now. I was not aware that he did Ebenezer Scrooge in A Christmas Carol from 1994. My go-to Christmas Carol movies at this time of year are the Muppet version and the Patrick Stewart version. And I try to watch those every year if I get the chance. I'm adding this one to the rotation. Because of this time of year, I think this would be a really good time for people to give that movie a watch. And whatever your preferred social media is, go share some insights on the movie. Tell people if you liked it or not. It's like one of those experiences us Transformer fans can have hearing a Garry Chalk performance that most of us likely haven't heard before, and it's very timely as well. So I think it'd be a nice little show of solidarity and keeping in the Christmas spirit at the same time. And I believe that is where we're going to leave it for today. So my best wishes, all of our best wishes and love to Garry Chalk. I've no doubt he is going to fight like hell. So, yeah, please, like I said, the link The link to his Facebook page is in the description below. Go show some love and share some stories and experiences. Like, make sure there's a lot of positivity going on in Garry's life right now, because he's going to need all of it that he can get. So that's your mission for the day. Don't need you to go to Patreon today. Don't need you to like and subscribe today. Need you to go show Garry some love. So please, please do that for me. And as always, I will see you next time.
Analysis complete. Adapting translators to local language.
Are you out there?